All right, brace yourself because this is pretty redneck. So I got the foxbosy radiator in the Pontiac Trans Am. Okay, so back out here working on the Trans Am. Got a little bit of an update. So the car, I was able to drive it around, so it's been driving good and everything. Right now I'm running into the issue with it getting too hot under not cruising. Um, Originally I was not running a thermostat in this thing, and it would get hot if just cruising around, it'd get up to like 220 degrees, and then I'd always park it, before it got hotter than that, just because I didn't want it to get any hotter. um, 220 is about the limit. You don't want it to really be hotter than that, especially for a sustained period of time. So I put a thermostat in it. It's a 195 degree thermostat though. It was just one that they had at the parts store. I figured I'd throw it in there with some suggestions from some friends, just to try and keep water in the radiator longer, in order so that the fans would have more time to cool it down before it passed through into the engine. I tried that, and that actually helped a lot, especially for cruising around and stuff. I was able to keep it at about 205 degrees cruising around. But if I did a pull in the car, then if I held in it long enough, I'd let out. But it got up to just past 220 before. So I figured I'm thinking that it's boiling down to airflow. I don't think that I'm getting enough airflow on this thing. And these third gen Camaro or Firebirds, you can see the nose of it. It don't really let in a whole lot of air. So, and they're known for that. Now there's also an air dam underneath of the car. And a lot of times they say that these air dams go missing. So let's see here. So here's the air dam right here. I installed that so when you're cruising, air comes in, hits that air dam, and gets shoved up into the radiator. So right now I have two puller fans, and I put those puller fans on a while back, and I'm pretty sure that they're the GM fans off of like the old LT1s, so back in the 90s. But it could be from, I think the 2000s Camaro had a similar fan. So I think on the LT1 cars they had dual fans that had a low and a high speed, where these fans here are just a single speed. So that's why I'm wondering if they're off of more like a 2000 Camaro year. It's still getting hot, so I'm thinking what the deal is is the four fans, the two pullers and the two pushers, they're working fine when the car's at cruise and at idle, but it's when you start getting on it that it really starts heating up. So I'm thinking under, when you're going down the road at a pretty good pace, that the pusher fans are probably actually in the way of the face of the radiator more than they're really helping. So I think they're probably disrupting more of the air that wants to come in versus actually, helping by the little bit that they blow. So I have this single fan here. This is off my Fox body that I used to have going. And that was on a 351 that was stroked out to a 418. And that cooled that engine down fine. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to take the pusher fans off, just so it frees up the front of that radiator. And these dual puller fans, they can't handle it without the pusher fans. So since I had this thing laying around, I'm probably going to throw it on there and see if that fixes it, which would be cool. If not, I'm probably going to go to a mechanical fan, just because a mechanical fan flows a whole bunch of air. Luckily, I have enough clearance there. If not, I'm going to have to figure something else out. I know Spall makes some good fans. I've never tried them, but that's what I've heard. So right now, that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to get on it. So let's do it. Okay, so it was a bit of pain, but I went ahead, I got that fan pulled off of there, which is pretty cool. A couple things I wanted to show you guys because I wasn't super confident with it. I forget how the factory radiator originally sat in this car. This one here, it's kind of like at a bit of an angle, and then there's a gap between, well, the radiator butts up against here kind of, but there's a gap between the AC condenser and the radiator. So there's going to be a bit of an air gap in there, and that might affect, like, when the air comes in and it hits the condenser first, that it's got to go through the condenser and then into the radiator. It's not ideal. I almost wonder if they should be butt up close together, or if there should be a bit of a gap. With the way this radiator is, it's going to have to be a bit of a gap right now. That could be a problem, you know, that I have to look at in the future. Another thing was, when I was pulling these cooler fans off here, there's a bit of a gap between the cooler fan and the radiator because it had a plastic shroud on it. Now, in between that gap, I put some rubber hose so it would be sealed. But compared to these other fans that I have sitting here, as you can see, so we've got this fan here is the one that I just pulled off of the car, and you can see with this shroud, you know, it's got a bit of a lip here, so you know, these fans are held out away from the radiator a little bit, and I don't know, it was sitting up against here, so they're held out a little bit. Now if you look at these fans here, now these are Ford Taurus fans, which I'm not extremely familiar with, but my understanding is that these are supposed to be pretty decent. Now I also had these just laying around. Now, you know, you've got those radiator zip tie things that I could put on there. Actually, I don't even know if these would work directly on the radiator, just because, yeah, looking at it now, that actually wouldn't even work zip tied directly to the radiator. So this is actually, it must be missing some kind of shroud, because I thought about running those just to see if they would work, but I don't have the shroud on hand to hold it out from the radiator. And what I'm saying is I was originally thinking about buttoning this up directly against the radiator, but this pulley actually, or not pulley, but you get what I mean, this sticks out farther than this surface here, so that wouldn't work out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this single big fan and just use these holes and basically just temporarily zip tie it to the radiator. And this fan, the surface of the blade is going to be much closer to the actual face of the radiator, so that might make it suck harder on the actual radiator. And with that being such a thick radiator, fingers crossed, it pulls more air through it harder than, you know, the dual fans. The dual fans pulled a big volume of air, but my stupid theory is maybe this pulls a more concentrated but harder stream of air through it, more like a shop vac versus like a leaf blower. So I'm going to throw that on there. And the other thing is I called the parts store. They have a 180 degree thermostat. So I just threw the 195 degree in there. I'm going to swap that for 180 degree. And I'm hoping that the combination of those two things really helps it out. If not, then it's going to be back to the drawing board. Another thing, I said before I was going to pull those cooler fans off. For now, I haven't needed to touch them, so I'm just going to leave them on there just for now, because I'm literally just testing this thing to see what it likes and doesn't like. But we're going to go from there. So, okay, so here's the deal. I got the new single fan put on there. Not new, but, you know, new to this car, whatever. So I got it mounted up on there, which is cool. You can see here, I just have the radiator zip tied in for now. This is all temporary. because I just want to test to see if that thing's even going to cool this thing down. Went ahead and pulled out my old thermostat, so I have to run to the parts store, get the new thermostat, which is a 180 degree, but that's going to be, I got to pick up that, and I had to pick up something else, I don't remember, but that's going to be it for tonight. I'm going to come back tomorrow. All I got to do is put these wires together. It's the old fan harness, which is no big deal, and then fill it back up with coolant, just because I was moving that radiator around and stuff. And then we should be good to go once I throw the new thermostat in, and we're going to test drive this thing tomorrow and cross our fingers that the single fan does better than those dual fans. And if it's cooling this thing down, then we'll go ahead, button it all up, make it look pretty. And then after that, I mean, I need to charge the AC on this thing, but it's pretty much, it's running good now. So when I test drove it yesterday, the car, it ran good. It was quick. I didn't beat on it too hard just because of the cooling, but I definitely know that once I get this cooling figured out, it's going to be a fun car. So stick around for that. Just got back from the test drive. It's raining now. I got that new single fan put on there. I just got everything zip tied on there for now. It's going to get hard to hear in here from the roof. The car's still getting hot, so the plan now is I'm wondering if it's the radiator. Now that's like a 3-cool radiator, which is pretty thick. It's aluminum, but it's like some eBay one that I got pretty cheap. So I'm starting to think that it's just not letting enough volume of fluid through. I'm sure they probably cheaped out on materials somehow. So what my plan is, in order to test that, is I have the radiator that was out of this Fox body here. So this Fox body was a turbo 418 Windsor, and it had this radiator in it right here. And when I had that radiator in it and that single fan, I mean, it would cool that thing down no problem at all. So I'm going to rip that radiator out of there and put that one in there, just zip ties, whatever, just make it, you know, temporary, with that same single fan. And I'm going to test the car like that. I have right now the radiator that's in there has a it's got ports for the transmission cooler, but I also have a secondary air cooled transmission cooler. The radiator out of my Fox body, I do not think has the ports for the trans cooler. So what I'm going to do is temporarily just have the transmission air cooled while I'm testing that radiator. I probably won't get on it too hard. I just want to see if that radiator is capable of cooling. If that radiator is capable of cooling, I know that that's the problem, and I'll probably just buy another aftermarket one for that car. So that's the plan. I'm going to try and get it done. The car's hot right now, so I don't know how much I'll be able to get done on it without burning myself, but we're going to go for it. So, all right, brace yourself, because this is pretty redneck. So I got the Fox body radiator in the Pontiac Trans Am, and I'll show you how I did it. So just so you know, all of this is very temporary, because that other one is overheating. It was a cheap eBay one, and this radiator was on my 418 Fox body, and it cooled that thing down no problems. So what I'm doing is, instead of spending $500 on a radiator that's possibly the problem, I threw this old girl on there, and I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that works. If that works, then I'm going to spend $500 on a nice radiator for this thing. So this is all temporary. I got my fan on there. You got to have your wire nuts there, you know, make it legit. And then yeah, you got to have your wire nuts there, make it legit. And then I just filled it up with this hole here. So that worked out. The reason I had to put it at a 45 is because Ford's ports for the water hoses are switched compared to the old radiator. So the cap of the radiator is actually on the bottom. So I had to fill it up through that top hole there. So it's definitely temporary. But it all hooked up fine. So that's all I care about. Got it wired up. I filled it up through that hole with a hose. I just stuck a hose in there in a funnel. Filled it up. Some mint Redneck ingenuity there. So now I'm going to fire this thing up and we're going to cross our fingers that that's the problem. Alright guys, I'm driving it now. So as you can see, it's a little bit hard to see, but we're good. We're definitely going to be getting a little bit more airflow through the radiator, which is fine. But I will say, I did a little bit of a pull before I turned the camera on, and I know it would have been getting hot previously, whereas now this thing hasn't gone over 195 degrees. That pull I did, it would have definitely gotten it up to 210 degrees before that. So I'm thinking we're definitely on to something. Some of you might say that it's just due to the extra airflow, which is definitely going to be helping, but I'm pretty confident that that Chinese radiator I bought for this thing is just garbage, and I'm going to have to get a nicer name brand one. This is only the single puller fan on there right now. It's running, and this thing's doing great. So I think once I put a nice radiator in there, this thing's going to be good to go, and I'm excited about that. I'm really thinking that we're tracking down this cooling issue. If you guys know anything about like these third-gen body style Firebirds and Camaros, is they're known for having a lot of cooling issues, mainly because they don't let a lot of air in through the front of the car. I mean, I had a 3-core aluminum radiator on there, and I had 4 fans blowing on it, and that was not working. So I'm thinking that the cores and that eBay radiator, it's probably just not enough volume of fluid or something along those lines to keep this thing cool under load. But the old foxbosy radiator is getting her done, so I think we're going to conclude here on the video. It's a little bit, you know, redneck ingenuity will get you somewhere sometimes, and that's pretty cool. So probably going to order a radiator, and hopefully it comes in next week. We'll get this thing hooked up more correctly, not so redneckish, and then we're going to roll on. I bet I'm getting some weird looks, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Just real quick, I forgot to show you guys how I clamped off my heater core line for a temporary fix. This is at the very end of the video. Just want to let you guys know I beat it pretty daggone hard coming home, and temp never got above 195. So Redneck fixes, sometimes they work, but I'm honestly pretty happy. I'm gonna buy a nice radiator for it, throw that piece of junk away, and roll on. You live and you learn.